Party nerds, 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 party nerds.
What's going on, Party Nerds? This is Grandmaster FAQS here with another installment of Party Nerds Presents Grandmaster FAQS. And as always, I start with a question. What seems to be the stance in superhero movies, MCU, DCU, Fox's X-Men universe, that seems to be the narrative that the more positive the character is, the more unappealing that he's going to be on the big screen. Now, I say this to give you a definition, the definition of an anti-hero. Anti-hero is someone who uses unconventional ways to prove a positive point or do good and achieve a goal in a heroic fashion. Now, what we've seen lately, and this is coming from like the more sort of unappealing characters of the past. Take Captain America, for instance, like the first movie. The first movie, Captain America, first Avenger, you know, even though it was an origin story, he didn't seem like to most of the audience that as though he was somewhat boring. You know, he didn't seem like the type that would excite you on the big screen. And if you've taken a listen to some of my podcasts in the past, Superman also fits into that mold to where he's oozed positivity. He's the quintessential superhero, trumpets blazing in the background, hand on the hips, cape flying in the wind, and smile on his face, winks at the camera. More so what you would see in the atypical superhero comic books or the movies or TV shows that you see maybe in the 60s or 70s, the old Superman, the Adam West Batman, you know, the satire that they brought amongst those characters to make them more friendly to the audience because they were appealing to a much larger crowd. You know, but times have changed. You know, we accept a darker character. We look upon some of the superheroes that we've seen in the past and like to see them have an edge. And what I said in my last podcast on Superman is that, you know, he soon will be arriving as rumored in the black Superman outfit. He may appeal in a darker edge, and his whole evolution will be devolved from what he's always been. Even if this was a alternate universe type Superman that we've seen, but it was only for like a few issues that we've seen in the comic books. But other than that, he's always gone back to the super positive Superman. Take the best example that I can say for this in the DC universe is the Flashpoint paradox, where every single character, if you've known them to be all bearing and good and positive and exactly what you want out of your superheroes, they were completely reversed. That took place to the point where, you know, of course, Flash fucked up the timeline and ends up in an alternate parallel universe where Wonder Woman, Aquaman are completely evil. And I mean, if you have not seen the animated movie for the Flashpoint Paradox, go see it. It will blow your mind to see Wonder Woman and Aquaman battle each other, namely after a rumored love affair with each other. He betrays his queen, Mara. Wonder Woman chops her head off, and a battle ensues between Wonder Woman squad, Aquaman squad. Aquaman even has Black Mana on his squad and the Grandmaster on his squad. Aqualad is with him. There's an entire battle that ensues, and even in this parallel universe, Batman Bruce Wayne is not Bruce Wayne. He's Thomas Wayne, Bruce Wayne's dad. The parallel universe where everybody knows the epic scene where Bruce's mother and father are killed turns out the opposite way, and Bruce is the one that ends up being killed. The Joker ends up being his mother Martha, and Thomas Wayne ends up being Batman. Awesome story. A completely awesome story. It literally took the narrative of everything that we've known these characters to be and shit on it. Completely shit on it. In the most beautiful way. And I think that's one of the reasons that has made Flash a more pivotal character than what he's been perceived to be in the past. Because, if we looked at the Flash that was introduced maybe 60s to the 80s, he was corny. But the fact that he did something so dastardly, but unbeknownst to him, made him just a quintessential character for this universe. But back to the subject at hand. Anti-heroes seem to be ruling the comic book universe. Take, for instance, Deadpool. Deadpool, of course, was released in the 1990s. It was a shift in times. This all came about in the time frame where Marvel had just gone bankrupt in the comic books. And DC, in midst to Marvel going bankrupt, pulled out all stops and killed Superman in the comic books with the Doomsday issue. More grittier characters, more darker characters started to arise. Deadpool was one of them. Lobo was another one. Punisher got hot. The solo Wolverine comics got hot. And what do all these characters have in common? They fight for the greater good, but they're very unconventional in their ways. Lobo's an asshole. Punisher's got the worst case of PTSD you ever seen in your life. Deadpool is the funniest, most sarcastic asshole piece of shit, but beautifully written in his dialogue towards other characters. The Wolverine solo series that became sincerely popular in the mid-90s were beyond anything you could have ever imagined, where he was hyper violent, like to the point where he didn't give a fuck. Like, it wasn't no I'm going to defeat you. It was more like, all right, I'm gonna murk you. I'm probably going to tear off a couple body parts, and I'm not going to care how this is going to end up. And these were the comics that us as kids were following and saying to ourselves, wow, I don't mind this. Like, I don't need bubblegum comic books. I need my superheroes to be vicious with their intent and have the balls to not only just take out whoever the sinister villain is in the scene or in the story, but there's going to be blood plastered on the screen. There's going to be dismemberments. There's going to be heads rolling, literally. And the reader at that time was going to enjoy it. So we all know how this propelled. Deadpool got a movie. Wolverine got a movie. Punisher now has a TV series that's coming out in a couple weeks. Now, Punisher's had like a couple movies. Dolph Lundgren, Thomas Jane, Ray Stevenson. But I think Jay Barenthal is doing an excellent job as the Punisher. Excellent. The demeanor is spot on to me. Not more so the agility in the fight scenes when he goes hand to hand. The artillery, the marksmanship, and the viciousness that he has built up inside is completely what I expect. And I think I hope that it does a phenomenal job on Netflix. It actually comes out the same day as Justice League. Shit you not. So, Marvel, I'm not sure if this is like a battle because it's not movie against movie. But, Justice League comes out November 17th. Punisher comes out November 17th. So you're either going to binge watch, but you can binge watch at any time. You can binge watch Punisher or watch Justice League. Your choice. But the success has been real with these type of characters. You know, to see characters that are not one-sided in their personality and they're ever gleeful, and it's almost like calling your local fireman. He gets your cat off of the tree, brings it down, hands it to the little girl, smiles at you, and drives away. People are getting tired of their stories ending up like that. You know, like these people, the people that we tend to emulate and completely fanboy out over these characters weren't the ones that shook your hand after a job well done. You were built with superpowers. Some of you were mutants. So there had to be terrible things that you have done to assume that you've had powers. And that goes with the means of seeing the crazy instinct of what your powers may end up to be. Because first off, when you, if say, for example, you are a mutant, someday during your time in adolescence, you're going to find out that you have powers. Now, growing up, and you're going to be a teenager, you're going to be curious. So if you got like photon phasers in your hands, you're going to shoot at the tree or shoot at things in the yard. Unbeknownst to you, you're not going to see exactly what you're hitting. And you end up doing some damage. People ridicule you. You end up taking some of that anger out on somebody that's bullying you. because you're growing up in a certain area and you're keeping your powers a secret, and you do some damage. Like, take for instance in the Punisher's case, the whole complete reason he's wigged out, of course, he's Vietnam War veteran. In the Netflix series, he'll probably be subjected to be in Iraq or Afghanistan. But the death of his family propels his character to take every bit of anger out on anybody that steps in front of him. Wolverine, for instance, has gone through completely psychological, like, mind fucks throughout his entire life. And the thing is, the dude don't die, so he just keeps going through the shit. So he's at the point where he's probably like 400 years old, and he's just like, yeah, an old man that's saying, okay, yeah, I'm tired of this shit. I'm just gonna kill everybody that's in front of me. You know, there's a point in time where you're gonna say fuck it. And Wolverine is the fuck it champion. Like, where Professor X and Cyclops and the rest of them are being diplomatic in some of their decisions, Wolverine is just like, all right, I'm gonna nip it in the bud and take everybody out. My choice. Lobo's somebody that got kicked completely out of the Justice League for being a complete asshole because of his unconventional ways. Where Batman is being tactical and Superman's, of course, being diplomatic, and every single member of the Justice League is keeping everybody out of harm. Lobo's throwing cars full of people into buildings, or throwing a car full of people into the villain and crushing it. But since he got the villain, he think he's proud of himself. But the rest of the Justice League's like, what the fuck? What's wrong with this dude? Definitely one of the more enjoyable characters, because you can see he just honestly doesn't give a shit. But these are the personality traits that we see, more and more every day. We don't see necessarily in our everyday dialogue a person that has supreme manners and has an enjoyable attitude. You're going to see everybody's not so much everybody's happiness, but you're going to see their anger, their sarcasm. You're going to get a lot of assholes that come your way. This is where the anti-hero just lives in supreme. These are the personality traits that propel these characters to be godlike to us, because you have the qualities of somebody that's sort of like an everyday person in a superhero character, and giving you almost everything you've ever wanted, dialogue wise, out of your favorite character. Like, I am a big Deadpool fan. I am a big Wolverine fan. I am a huge Lobo fan. And I am a big Punisher fan. And the anti-hero is just going to live on and be surreal. That gritty aspect is going to continue to flow. And I'm not sure why maybe a lot of studio heads haven't gotten the hint sooner. But it's going to stretch extremely long and hard, and take note, because a lot of your characters just might switch up. I would love to see a Flashpoint Paradox movie. If that decides to get made, it will probably be the greatest DC movie that has ever happened. If it's anything close to that animated movie that they put out, it was fabulous. But please leave your comments below. Let me know what you think about anti-heroes in comic book characters. This is Grandmaster FAQS. You can catch us once again, Wildfire Radio, 6:45 on Tuesday nights. You can catch us on the Partynerdz Instagram, Partynerdz on Facebook. You can catch my show at Partynerdz Presents Grandmaster FAQS. And I will see you guys next time. Partynerdz go.
Partynerdz, 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 Partynerdz.